Hello, everybody. I decided to do kind of an impromptu streaming event here. It's nothing big, really. Just go about your business if if you're busy. This isn't going to be anything too exciting. I'm going to be messing with FL Studio Live today. So let's get started with that. If you want to leave a comment live during this, feel free to go to my Twitch channel and whatever you're viewing that on right now. Could be YouTube, it could be Facebook. If it's Twitch, then you'll be able to see your chat message pop right up there. So feel free to go ahead and stop on by here and leave a message for me, and I'll try to watch for it too, so I can see who's messaging also. I'll put that up too so I can see it. Twitch. There we go. So my Twitch is active on my screen too, so I can see it on the second monitor. Okay, cool. So my Twitch is active. And the audio, I guess, is active too. Here, let me turn that off so it's not echoing. All right. The other thing is I want to make sure that we have what I'm putting on here. It doesn't read up as gaming, I don't think, anywhere. Anyways, I guess let's just get to it. So this is FL Studio that I'm working with. I'll transition over to that right now. I've got it on a second monitor. Everything's patched, so we should be able to hear something. Yeah, you hearing it too? All right, good. All right, so it's going to be patched through. I think that works, right? Let me just make sure we're sending audio to it. I might need to change some audio inputs here. Looks like I need to change audio inputs. I'll try to do that on the fly. Add another input here until we get the... It's a little tricky sometimes when you're doing this on the fly. I did patch purposely patch a feedback loop that in general is not something you want to be doing, but there it is. You can see how that works. All right. So we have our step sequencer right here. Let's see how it's you can select these. It comes standard with these kind of default samples. They're okay. They're not my favorite necessarily, but there's a lot of like stuff that comes default with FL. So we're just going to be using the default samples for today. At my studio, we're actually making samples of the drums that we have in the studio. So we'll be using those in the future. Here, and let me bring up my picture too. So some disembodied face here that is not visible. There we go. All right. So I'm here now also. So let's just start, I guess, with a basic beat. And I'm trying to go for like a more lo-fi kind of vibe too. So just almost dubstep kind of beat going on here. You can stretch out the measure a little bit too. I think we need 4 more beats to really solidify this, whatever we're doing here. I think I want it to be more like, yeah, something like that. So place that on our timeline a few times. Now, you can start with a template, but I usually don't. I don't tend to start with templates when I'm doing this stuff. What I do like to do now, since I'm a little more experienced in FL Studio, is I like to label and change the color of things on here. Oh, this is different. Change the color picker in this version of it. This is the latest version, released a few days ago actually. I guess light coral. That looks good. All right. Usually I color them and I I won't attach it to an insert yet. If you're not familiar with FL Studio, it refers to its channels as inserts. I don't really want to. I think it's actually assigned. Yeah, see, it's assigned the first 4, maybe 5 channels as drum inserts. So let's just give it some names, I guess. This is kick. Let's find out what we have lined up. This, I don't remember this being standard. I don't imagine we'll use clap, so we'll probably change that sample. Hat. Snare. And let's change all of these colors too. I'm going to keep it the same as the timeline so I can keep track of where I am. There aren't a lot of batch changes you can do here. Let me just see if, for argument's sake here. No, you can't really do any batch changes with it. You can do quick changes. Oh, that wasn't very quick. This is as quick as it gets, huh? All right. So we have that pattern. And actually in our song timeline, I'm using this button up here to switch it between pattern and song. The pattern is this down here. Let me name the pattern too, so we can have, let's see here, where's the name? Rename and color. Basic bro pattern. There you go. And I'm gonna also color that the same color I had before. So I've got all of my percussion tracks, all of my percussion patterns are all going to be one color. It's sort of convenient when you start layering things on top of each other and getting a little busier in your arrangement. So let's get started here. I'll add some sequencing stuff here. Let's add, right now I've got my Focusrite 18i20 connected up to an M Audio 49 key station 49E. So it's an oldie. And I'm gonna get my chat back up too because I can't see anything without that. And I guess I'll load up the other chats too. Let's see if I can get those up as well. My live stream stuffs. Stream Classic. Let's see. I apologize if the audio turns on when I do this. Alright, good. The audio didn't turn on. So I can access the chats now everywhere and see what everybody's reactions are. Cool. Alright, so I can access there's another audio. Delayed audio for me. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on my key station. When you turn it on, it just kind of goes to the first sound that it's that anything is latched on. So I got a bunch of bass drum. Kind of fun. All right, so let's change it up. Let's add some samples here. So we go to our channel rack, and I'm gonna create. Before I do that, I want to create a new pattern. Also, I'm gonna do basic lead, or actually, let's add a pad first. You can start with a lead, or you can start with a pad. Let's set the pad colors to, I don't know, something purple, something a little darker, so you can tell it's very different. And when you, the cool part about the canvas and the way this is set up, the playlist here, is that I called it a canvas. It's kind of like a canvas. You can paint on your clips in FL Studio. This is why if I'm using it for electronic music or sampling or MIDI or something like that, I will tend to use FL Studio instead of Logic. Although sometimes, like in this past my Gonna Fly Now video, I sequence my drums. This is the one instrument that I know to step back on and let other people deal with. And there were some samples I pulled in from Logic, some instruments that just weren't readily available on FL Studio to my knowledge. Although I haven't got the most advanced package here. I'm running the producer's edition of FL Studio, which Doesn't come with Harmless, but I ordered it as an addition here. So I'm going to turn down your volume a little bit because usually the patch Harmless starts with is a little loud. That was just my mic, actually. I turned on the wrong one. So I can add something with that, or I can change it. Let's stay with this. You know, sometimes this it's a default sound that it comes with, the default preset, but sometimes it's actually not a bad instrument to run with the default preset. It's got an edge to it. It's chordal. It sustains if you want it to sustain. It doesn't if you don't. And one of the coolest features of FL is that no matter what it is, you can apply an arpeggiator to it. I love doing this and affecting it. It's kind of cool. And you can, if you have another interface, sometimes I'll use, and let me see if my camera picks up on this. Sometimes I also like to use the buttons on this too. My little Novation Launch Key Mini. And the cool part about that, a lot of FL Studio's elements you can sync up to a controller. So that button, this knob right here for time, if I have this plugged in, I can independently, while I'm holding down a chord on here, I can independently change the speed at which it arpeggiates. And when I'm recording live into FL Studio with the record button here, it can record that as automation, which is really, really cool. So we might do some of that later. We'll just start off a little bit here. Let's find some chord progression on here, something simple. I'll take the arpeggio off for now until we think of something to do with it. Might do it on a lead. It almost kind of reminds me a little bit of the Never-Ending Story. Tell you've recreated Stranger Things. I need to catch up on that. I have not spent a whole lot of time on Netflix since the pandemic started. I've been mostly teaching up until then, and this is a very new thing, all of this performing on live stream and stuff like that. So I can't say that I have a whole full working knowledge of Stranger Things, and feel free to attack me personally or otherwise if you'd like. That goes for anybody. Sorry. I'll have to get caught up on that though. It does look really cool. So I especially like the monsters that I see referenced on social media from them. All right. Back to this. So I'm going to put in, I'm going to try to, well actually, I need to assign a track, don't I? Let's assign this to 6. And the only reason I'm going to assign it to 6 is just in case I need to put something else in there. Maybe 7 or 8. I really like to keep a space between my rhythm tracks and everything else. And I just got a feeling that we're going to be adding some more rhythm tracks at some point in here. So we're going to make that 8. And I can title that as the Harmless Synth. Harmless Pad. So change that to Harmless Pad Synth, and like the previous ones before, we're going to make that a purple track. Sorry if my mouse glitches too. I'm not really sure why, but my Bluetooth is acting up lately. Oh well. Alright, so we got that. Let's do some sequencing on that. I'm going to go into pattern record here, and I think we're going to keep... Let me just hit record here for just so I can hear the metronome. Always keep a metronome on your stuff when you're doing this, because not because you're going to play in perfectly in time or not perfectly in time. It's literally so when you don't, and you won't, you'll miss a beat somewhere. When you miss a beat, you can line it up on the piano roll, and it's not a pain. Okay, I can play with that. So let's start with the thing on that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give a count off. So it's gonna go 2, 1, 2, 3. And I think I'm gonna change one of the chords in here. So we go to the piano roll. See how it picks up just kind of like random crap in here too. And the beats are not perfectly lined up, which I know it's not a big deal, but you can definitely fix that. And if you can fix that, you probably should. These guys are not lined up either, so let's move those over. I think I want to make those out to the edge of the bar here. Let's deselect a little bit and bring that out. Make this go all the way here. And it may not, you may not want them to be like full half notes here, but they're definitely, I was trying to be half notes. So we'll listen to it first and see if it works here. And I think there's definitely a, so this is another one. This wasn't exactly right. Oh, so they weren't exactly half notes. No, you're right. So I've got to make these a little shorter, actually. They're not exactly half notes. They shouldn't be. Let's see if I did it right. Take it off record. Ha! See what I mean? All right. So what we do is we grab this here. Dun, dun, and I think it's right about here. But you can watch as you play back. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. We can even move it a little bit later in the timeline. I want to line these guys up a little bit. So we line those up a tiny bit. And to be honest with you, maybe it's just nerves from being live here. I kind of want it to be a different chord. So I want to change that to an A minor chord. So I can literally just bring these down. Let's see, where am I at? F. Bring it down. And actually I want this all to be up an octave too, so I'm going to change this all to... I think I moved this one down a little bit too. It really helps if you know music theory. Let's make sure that that's what I want. I think it was an A minor chord that I was thinking. Dun, dun. And actually I was going to move the whole thing up an octave, but I think maybe just keep this here. Dun, dun, dun. Wait, hold on a second. G major chord up 1 octave from where it is here. Let's move it up to, and I think this is roughly the right place here. Let's see. It's still a little bit. This one I feel like I think it's a little bit off. Let me just hear it. So one of these is a little bit off. Sometimes you want to zoom in and just kind of check the lengths here. See how these are a little bit, they're not quite in line with each other. Sometimes that can give a kind of a nasty effect. So what you want to do is try to get these as best as you can. Let's see here. I think this, I want to change this to a step. Yeah, I think that'll work. No, not step. Okay. 6th step, 6th beat, 6th of a beat. Let's try that. Nope. I have to make it smaller, I think. Half a beat. Oh, done messed it up now. All right. Anyways, there's an easy way to resolve this if you are having trouble fighting the program on its interface a tiny bit. You can go into here, and there's some quantize features. I don't like them because the results are a little unpredictable, but you can quantize the start times, and usually that does the trick pretty well. So it's just saved me a bunch of time lining it up. Quantizing start times is usually pretty safe. Quantizing more than that, I can't really predict the outcome unless you're super sure about what you're doing. So let's see if that's... So we got that. Now, I know we're supposed to be doing some kind of lo-fi thing here, or something that sounds good. That's why we're going to immediately set up our effects channel. Because the effects channel are what we're going to use here, and I'm going to make this orange. We're going to call this bus 1. It doesn't really have a bus per se in FL, but we can route it like that. And what I did, just see, routing is kind of a tricky thing. But if you're going to do any kind of audio recording in FL Studio, it's something you really have to kind of be familiar with. Now, in order to route this to this track as if it were, sorry, I'll use the terminology. If I wanted to route the harmless synthesizer to bus 1, the insert that I've created here, what I have to do is I have to select the insert that I'm going to bus from, and then there's an arrow underneath the bus channel that I've created here, and click that, and I can even change the input just like any other audio interface here. You see how it's got a little cable here? One of them is still going to master over here. This is our master channel. I'm going to change the color of that too so we can see it easily. We're going to make it my favorite color, green. So the master channel is in green. You can, if you want to, you can cut that. In mastering I might, but I think in general what you want to do is you want to have like a good mix of the dry and wet. And if I put a reverb here, which is what I plan on doing, we're going to put a basic reverb in on bus 1 here and just see what happens. I'm going to take the volume, go way down on it and way down on this, and we'll see, just have it loop the pattern here. You can add some more, any kind of, and the cool part about this is you can add any kind of effects to that channel too, and it can be independent of this. One of my favorite little toys to play with on this too, to make it kind of interesting, is the effector. It's probably one of the more unique plugins for FL Studio. I mean, I would almost get it just for this reason. Let's see what the Lo-Fi attribute. You can use, you can adjust the parameters using motion, and this is all sequence. This is all automatable. You can use automation with it. You can change it to a phaser effect, a flange effect. There's a vocoder effect that you can mess with, delay. Looks like a low pass filter, low pass high pass filter. Lo-Fi. Let's see what Lo-Fi does to it. Not exactly the kind of lo-fi chill step I'm looking for, so let's change it to a more subtle. What I like about the effector too isn't necessarily that you have to know anything about phaser effect or anything like that. It just makes it really easy to shape the sound of the synth so that you can end up with a lot of flexibility over this basic patch that I got right here. And this isn't even the most flexible plugin that's on FL Studio. This is really, it's a good sounding synth. I liked it because of the modeling it does. It uses a lot of CPU also, by the way. All right, so let's record some automation with the pattern here. And what I'm going to do is, you know, this dialog pops up all the time. You can choose what FL Studio is going to record. You can choose notes and automation. You can use audio into the Edison audio editor, which is a reason why I don't use FL Studio a lot for audio recording, and I can't really advise that anyone. You can do it if you need to do it. It's a little bit harder, I think. You know what? I advise that you use what you're comfortable with. But as you can see with the routing that I'm doing here, this routing and stuff like this, if I've got audio channels on my interface that I want to route here, you can see it gets a little more complicated. This is just my Focusrite that it's routing also. I've got another one on here I'll show you. The Focusrite might not be a hard one to deal with, but if I use, where is it? The ASIO Hammerfall DSP. The Hammerfall has like 48 inputs on it. So if you're routing ins and outs on FL Studio for like 48 ins and outs, you want to be using like Pro Tools, a Pro Tools matrix or a Logic matrix or something like that instead. It'll just save you so much more time. But again, if you're like just starting out and you want some of the features of like FL Studio, and I'm not an advertisement for these guys. They've got enough money and they've got enough advertisers. Deadmau5 used to use this exclusively, from what I understand, on for his stuff, and you know, he certainly ended up pretty well, in pretty good shape. So, but let's record some of the automation. Now, I'm going to undo that because we recorded the automation in the wrong spot here. I want to make sure we're starting at the beginning of the pattern. Try it again. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be cool. That's going to be really cool. Let's put that in here. We need some bass effects here. That's going to be just a basic pad, and we'll tweak it as we go along. But let's just keep it. Let's throw it underneath our song for now. And I think we're going to change that beat a little bit. Make it a little more active for the kick drum. Here, hold on one second. So we got a little more of a kick drum on it. Cool. So let's make the next one a bass sound here, and I think what I'm going to do is use kind of like a purple, lighter purple for a bass here. Bass sound. And I'm going to use our arpeggiator on the bass, and I'll show you why. It just makes it a lot simpler later on. Let's add a new pattern here. Going to be bass arp. One thing I really wish that I could see an easy way to do with FL Studio is I wish there was a way to just kind of, like in Logic, there's one perk that they can do, is that you can adjust the pitch of a MIDI sample, and I can't figure out a way in FL Studio yet to do that and not have it affect the original sample. So it's a little tricky. It's probably my fault. It's almost certainly my fault. Looks like my mouse has gone dead again. Hold on. Every once in a while I have to put my Bluetooth stick back in. Okay, we're back. It's a little glitchy, but that's okay. Whatever. Alright, checking my Twitch here too. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's start with a bass sound. Now, I discovered a bass sound that sounds pretty good. Oops, sorry, I already created one of these, huh? We can get rid of that. There's a bass sound that I found that's actually not bad. And they have some on here that are really good. Well, sorry, they're good, and I'm sure that you can make a bass sound, a pretty authentic one, with say the three times oscillator. This is one of the coolest plugins. You can literally make this thing sound like anything. It's got some It hasn't got any presets. I thought it had some presets, but you can change it to sound like pretty much anything. But what I liked, I think it's SimSynth is the one that I found here. It's like very much like the 3-band oscillator, but it's got a pretty authentic sounding bass synth built in as a preset. It's not bad. It's not bad. For a synth bass, it's not bad. So either one or two of that. And I used, in my previous videos, I've used SimSynth for the bass lines in it too. Let me get that back up. They also have some Moog sounding basses though that you can use on here too, but I'm usually trying to fake the bass sound. So I try to make it sound as authentic as possible with it. Let's put our bass sound in here. Boom. Let's see what the chord I want. Okay, so what I want is something kind of like this. And I think that should be enough for us to make the bass line. And again, we're going to want to quantize the start times. I don't think there's any surprises here this time. I think I can just do it. There we are. So it's as close to a grid as we can have here. And I'm going to keep this as part of the rhythm section, like I said before. Haha. Number 5. Insert number 5. So we'll take that. We're going to open up the effect again here. This is where we're going to use the oscillator, the arpeggiator. Let's play back a few times. I have to change the... Almost. So now, let's go back into the arpeggiator again. There's my lazy bass part. All right, let's add that to it. Creating a synth lead channel to put on top of that. We're going to put that as insert number, what is it? So that's 7, and we're going to put this as synth lead. We're coming up. I'm going to have to take a break in a moment, but we'll do this again. This is fun. Who knows? Maybe I'll come up with something in this too. So I'm keeping my rhythm instruments together. That's the one I have for that. Good. Bass. And then we have lead. Synth lead. And gonna move this up one. Oh, my Twitch handle. It's literally the same thing as my Facebook one, my Facebook page. Here, let me post that in the chat on Facebook. Actually, I just post the whole link. I guess I can do that. Here you go. Mostly I've been gaming a lot on it, but okay, it did a very weird thing with the chat. Hold on. Here. Okay, now I'm just making up buttons here. Let's try getting everything to work right. Twitch.tv and then oh, come on. It's not letting me type it in right. All right. I'm going to try to get it now. Twitch.tv / and I'll have to close up the stream in like 30 seconds, so I'll try to do a quick synth lead on here. Wow, it even showed the video thing here too. All right, so I'll do a quick synth lead here to get us going. I'm going to use the three band oscillator to do it, and then we'll reconvene at another time here. So I want to do some. That's the other cool part. There's a sampler built into pretty much every part of FL Studio. I'm definitely going to route that too. So let's start it at the beginning. And this time I'm going to record right into the playlist. One. And that's it for today. So I'll have to see you guys again soon. Thanks for showing up. Good to see you, Clark. Good to see you, Todd. A few people that have showed up on the Facebook group there. It looks like I saw my former teacher, Mr. Cardell, who I've feel like you're still kind of my teacher. All right. Hopefully see you guys again soon. Be well and stay cool. Keep creating stuff. Now I'm in darkness. All right, cool.